Over the weekend, the U.S. and the U.K. navies shot down 15 drones launched from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. Now, some of the world's largest shipping companies are now saying that they will pause transit through the waterway. Let's discuss all of this with Guy Platten. He's Secretary General of the International Chamber of Shipping. Guy, thank you so much for joining us. We also heard from the U.S. Defense Secretary that they will send a task force, a maritime task force, to try and deal with the situation. How risky is this? Because maybe the Houthis do want to rope the U.S. into this.
I think, firstly, we absolutely condemn what the Houthis are doing to merchant shipping. These innocent seafarers are now being put at risk, and shipping has a right of innocent passage, and it's against all international law. So I think what we do welcome is this broad coalition, the announcement of this broad coalition of navies to help protect and add security to the Red Sea. And clearly, companies are making their decisions based on the current situation. So we wait to see further details. But, you know, the action of the US Navy and the British Royal Navy in shooting down missiles and drones is to be welcomed because it has protected seafarers.
But does it get worse before it gets better? I don't know how much traffic, or if it's difficult to actually see how much traffic at the moment is going through the Red Sea.
So we're seeing on a daily basis companies now deciding to pause operations in the Red Sea and reroute their ships. So I think there's a couple more companies added last night. BP was yesterday, and of course the major container lines have decided to reroute their ships. And bearing in mind, its container traffic is about 22% of the traffic that passes through the Red Sea. So that's quite a significant impact. Plus, if you look at some of the BP with the tankers as well, so there's going to be some significant disruption. There is also, of course, an alternative route, which is around the south coast of South Africa, around the Cape of Good Horn, but that adds 9,000 kilometres or about 6 to 14 days to a voyage. So clearly there will be disruption until I think companies have much more confident in the security of their ships transiting the Red Sea.
So, Guy, could you explain to us, and this is what I was told this morning, that if you're a big, tanker actually shipping LNG or shipping oil, you can stop at another port and you have the facilities to be able to move it around. It gets really tricky if you're a cargo ship. Again, how much traffic worldwide could that hit? Is it similar to the Suez Canal a couple of years ago, or is it just a different, route in terms of traffic?
I mean, that's a really good analogy, because the Suez Canal was blocked for 7 days and ships had to reroute, and that's exactly what shipping companies are deciding to do now. So you will see effect on the disruption, delays as a result of this. The ships will still be able to take their cargoes to the destination. It'll just be by a different route, a longer route, which will add delay and possible cost as well.
But they still can get round. I think Suez has more traffic than the Red Sea, am I right?
Yeah, well, most traffic will pass through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. So, I mean, it's a vital link between Asia and Europe and vice versa. So ships will transit through the Mediterranean Sea, down through the Suez Canal, down to the Red Sea and out to Asia and vice versa. So by deciding not to go down the Red Sea, they won't be transiting through the Suez Canal. So it will have an effect on that. But it can be rerouted, say, around the Cape of Good Hope, but it does add considerable delay to the voyages.
So I'm sure you're in contact with the chief executives of Maersk, BP. Are there any other big companies that you think will reroute? And how much, what would it take for them to come back to that route?
I think, firstly, the reason why companies are making this decision, and it's there for them to make that decision, is primarily on safety grounds. It's the safety of the crew, the safety of the seafarers who must be protected. So that's the primary driver for all of this. I think once we see the detail of the naval coalition, once we see how it's all going to work, once we see what the effect of this increased security in the area will be for shipping, companies will then make an assessment based on that. But it's very early days for that now. And I think we need to see the next coming hours and days to see the effect, whether this rerouting is going to be more longer term, or is it just a short-term disruption.
How worried are you about shipping becoming more dangerous and more expensive in the long run? It's been 2-3 years because of geopolitics, because of the war in Ukraine, because of what we're seeing now, even because of COVID. It just feels like it's a very tough time for shipping.
Shipping is very resilient. Our seafarers are very resilient, and they go about their job in a professional manner day to day. But you're quite right, security has become worse globally in the last few years. We had all the disruption from COVID when seafarers were denied access to shore leave or to be even do a crew change. We've got obviously piracy off the coast, the Gulf of Guinea. There's others in Ukraine, Russia conflict as well. So, it's clear that these security tensions are rising, and it is a worrying situation for shipping. But shipping is again resilient, and will always try and find a way through in the most safest possible way.